Thank you, Natalie. I consider you my spiritual mother.
Oh, now how do I go from there? That was so beautiful. Thank you. I did get a Mother's Day card today. Even though I'm not technically a mother. But I will tell you that my week was full of poop and puke and pee and a molting rabbit. Do you know what that is like? We have a domestic rabbit at home, and we need to keep him 75 degrees or cooler. So that's our challenge for the summer. But he has 3 layers of fur. So when he starts to shed, when it starts to get warm, and the funny thing is he does this in the middle of the winter too. So, but it's just everywhere. I'm talking everywhere. But yes, my week, including Barry and I both got booster shots, and Don did too. We have our booster party. The 3 of us go and get our booster shots. And I don't know whether you've experienced this, but I was not feeling well for a day, and Barry wasn't feeling well even today. So he's just still shaking off. They're kind of like flu symptoms from this booster shot. So again, we bless him and think about how your week was. We're all old enough that none of us have babies at home, unless maybe you've got grandchildren or great-grandchildren at home. So not much of that poop, pee, puke thing unless you have some animals. In fact, I'm guessing, I just was a little bit curious this morning. I'm guessing there are more of us who are not biological mothers than who are. So let's just raise your hand if you are a biological mother. See what I'm saying? There's only 6 of us, of you. Oh, 7. So you guys are the valid mothers of Mother's Day. But actually, we're going way beyond just the biological mother today as we celebrate Mother's Day. The one thing we all do have in common, though, is that we all have a mother. And so that's what I like to celebrate on Mother's Day, and that's why I will tell each one of you, you all get a carnation today because you all have a mother. So one day, Johnny's mother was laboring in the kitchen, preparing a very special meal for dinner, and Johnny was driving her crazy, running through the kitchen multiple times. She had warned him more than once to slow down and be careful. And then suddenly it happened. The dish she had worked so hard on was knocked off the table. She grabbed a broom and started after. But Jimmy ran outside and scurried into that crawl space under the house. You guys aren't sure about how to feel about this yet, are you? When Dad arrived home, see, this is how it goes, right? Poor Dad. Dad arrived home, he got an earful from Mom, and then he went to find Johnny. He crawled under the house, looking around until he saw 2 bright eyes peering out at him, and he heard a soft voice say, "Dad, what did you do?" I never got chased with a broom from either of my parents. Should know that. Maybe some of you did. But what my brothers and I used to always say was, we didn't really get spanked either. It was this thing about that our parents' disapproval was enough punishment for us. That sense of feeling guilty for not living up to the higher standards that you would have for us. For anyone who may not know, these are my folks sitting over here, Nate and Kathy. A police recruit taking her final exam was asked, "What would you do if you had to arrest your own mother?" She answered, "Call for backup." Yesterday I had to go to Target, and I just want to say I don't usually shop at Target, but it was one of those things where I needed the closest place to get to. So I went into Target. I went to Target, got out of the car, and I heard this glorious violin music. And I think my senses really, they got a little bit confused because I think Target also puts music out. Maybe not. Some places do. But anyway, I thought, that can't be Target music. And then I saw this guy who had a little speaker hooked up. He had an electric violin. And he had some background music and was just playing that. And here's this amazing violin music floating through the Target parking lot of all places. I love the violin, and it takes me back. When I was a kid, I took piano lessons for 5 years. And then I stopped. I didn't want to do it anymore. Disappointed parents? Probably, but I didn't feel that sense. I never really kind of felt, if there was any disappointment, it was in myself, because over the years, I've thought, man, wouldn't it be great to be able to play the piano? All those years of lessons, and I never went any further with it. But my brothers did. They both had violin lessons, but I don't ever remember the sound that I was hearing in the Target parking lot coming anywhere out of our house, unless it was out of the stereo, which it was, right? My folks are really into classical music, and so we got lots of that good stuff coming up. Got a question. What does love look like? And it really made me think yesterday as I was appreciating the music and it taking me back and appreciating that gift from my parents. And the ability to be able to, because all I remember about having to practice piano was that I wanted to be outside playing. And so that's who I ended up being. Instead of a piano player, I ended up being a kid who went out and played. And I got love and support for that. So there's one little piece for me of what love looks like. And I'm inviting you just to take a moment. There's a little pad on your table, and you can just tear off a piece of paper from the top, pass it around, pass it to the next person. They can take a piece of paper. And this is only if you want to. There are no requirements here. No rules. But I'd like you just to take a few deep breaths and to relax for a moment. If you need more pens, we have more pens. And maybe you won't feel that you need to write something, but I'm inviting you to ask that question of your higher self for this moment, for this few moments as we breathe together, to ask, what does love look like? Maybe it's just one word. Maybe you have several sentences. Maybe you have a list of words. What does love look like? Okay. And a breath. Shake it out. And so now what we have in front of us is our expectation of what love looks like. And so now the question is, did your mother live up to that expectation? And this is all just your own working consciousness. There's nothing right or wrong. I just like to stir it up a little bit on Sunday mornings. I like to even confuse you a little bit. And then give you a little bolster before you leave, so that you leave feeling good, but you're provoked a little. You're thinking, what does a mom look like? Ask yourself that question. Because when I was a kid, this is what moms looked like. No, really. Was there ever an actual mom that looked like that? And this is more what you might see in terms of moms working and caring for the baby at the same time. And I love these pictures of two dads and their mothers. Their children, they are mothers to their children. I follow a couple of guys on Facebook. One of them is actually a Unity minister. And their Facebook page is called, for a while it was, Two Dads Looking to Adopt. And so I've been following them I followed their journey of, having some disappointments and needing to be very patient. And then a 16-year-old kid walked into their lives. And of course, they also wanted an infant, and they now have an infant. I think they have 3 children now. But I remember pictures of when they brought their infant home, and them both having turns at laying without any shirt on, with the baby on top of them, so that the baby would feel that connection, that deep, deep connection that maybe we only think of mothers having with their infants. So, giraffes. That's quite a large leap, isn't it? Mother giraffes actually, think about how tall is a giraffe. I don't really know, but I'm guessing that the bottom half is even way up here, right? So the first thing to emerge at a baby giraffe's birth is its front hooves and its head. Minutes later, it is hurled from its mother's body, falls 10 feet, I don't know, what is it, 8 feet, and lands on its back. Within seconds, it rolls upright and has its legs tucked under its body. And from this position, it views the world for the first time and shakes off the remaining birthing fluid. The mother giraffe lowers her head just long enough to take a quick look at her calf, and then she does what seems to be an awful thing. She kicks her baby, and the baby goes rolling over, head over heels. Isn't that awful? It doesn't get up. And so what does she do? She kicks it again. And she kicks it until it stands. And finally it stands with wobbly legs, and then the mother knows that her baby can survive in the world. Ever heard this one? To be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest. Kind of feels like that sometimes. Sometimes it feels like you're falling 10 feet and being kicked. So Hal and I talk from time to time, and I'm starting to learn. This is Hal over here in the black shirt, for anybody who doesn't know Hal. And from time to time, he mentions the stock market, lets me know whether it's up or down. And I love the stock market as a metaphor for love and for life. So here's the thing. With the stock market, you really have to invest in the long haul, don't you? And just know that it's going to go, well, no, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But ultimately, you will see fluctuations, won't you? It'll go up and down. And what would happen if you reacted to every one of those highs and lows and jumped out? The idea is to stay committed for the long haul. And yes, of course, you do have to cut your losses and get out. And isn't love and life sort of like that too? A mother was quizzing her grown daughter on her current boyfriend. So, just what kind of man are you interested in? She finally asked. And the daughter pointed at her father and said, like him, with a few minor modifications. Her father grinned. He was very proud. Well, the mother responded, it's taken me 30 years to modify that one. He doesn't come in a 26-year-old model. It's been said you have to work for what's good. My dad asked me this week, do you feel comfortable explaining oneness? And my response was to question him. Well, it depends on what kind of oneness you want me to describe. And he thought I was trying to get out of it. But then I showed him. I said, there's the oneness of the soul. Think about, I don't know how many of you believe in reincarnation, but I'm totally in there with that stuff. I get it. But have you ever thought about that you could have actually been your great-grandmother? You don't get it. No, it's seriously. Your soul is hopping from body to body. And we understand that we kind of come around in soul groups. And so one time, I'm the daughter and you're the dad. And the next time, you're the daughter and I'm the dad. Or you come in as my brother. So, aren't we one in that sense? I mean, it's just a soul hopping from body to body. This time I'll be my grandmother. That's one, the soul, reincarnation. 2 is the breath. I love sharing this. Did you know that atoms in your breath, the breath you just took, will be diffused throughout this neighborhood in just a few hours and throughout the entire planet in a month? Each breath we take contains argon atoms that Gandhi, Buddha, and Jesus breathed in their lifetimes. I want to show you a very short clip by David Suzuki, and you may recognize him. This is called this was about the force of nature, which was a show on television. Oh, wrong one. Here it is. We are the air.
The point is, you can't draw a line and say the air ends here and I begin there. There is no line. The air is in us, it's fused to us, and it's circulating throughout our bodies. We are the air in the most profound way. And when I tell children that we are the air, and that air isn't a vacuum or empty space, it's a physical substance, so what comes out of my nose goes straight up yours, they immediately go, I guess they think we've got a little bubble of air that's Mark, Mary, or Johnny. We're tied together by the matrix of air that embeds us with not just human beings, but the trees and the birds and the snakes and the worms that are all using that air. So air surely should be regarded as this sacred substance that gives life to us and that connects us so intimately from the past well into the future.
Pretty awesome, isn't it? He says air embraces us so intimately that it is hard to say where we leave off and air begins. But if you are air and I am air, then I am you and you are me. We are one. Number 3, in the ways that we are one. DNA. You may have heard this before as well. In his book, The Journey of Man, A Genetic Odyssey, geneticist Spencer Wells documents genetic research that analyzed changes in the Y chromosome of people in all regions of the world. The research concluded that all humans alive today are descended from a single African ancestor who lived some 60,000 years ago. In effect, we are all cousins separated by 2,000 generations or so. Are you out there? And finally, and this may be the easiest one for us to comprehend, and that is we're one in spirit. So often on Sunday mornings, we talk about when we drop this body, what will still be there. And it's light, it's vibration, it's love. And so it is only in these bodies that we feel separate. And that's why it's so hard to relate to our oneness. I think I have, oh yeah, I do. I have this amazing video from Ram Dass, and I have shared some of this one other time. It's been a while, so some of you probably haven't seen it. But as you may know, Ram Dass was an amazing spiritual teacher over many, many years. And before he transitioned to the great beyond several years ago, he had a stroke. And they did a documentary on his experience of recovering from that stroke and what that was like for him. And so this is just a snippet of this documentary called Fierce Grace, where he is sitting with a young woman who has just experienced the death of who she believes is the love of her life.
A month or so after the murders, I woke up one morning to a dream after a dream. Finally, he had come. We were having, finally, our first talk after it happened. Oh my God, where have you been? Where are you? What the hell am I supposed to do now? Finally, that interaction. Good. It was good. He had me. He could embrace me, hands all the way around both sides. And I was kissing his temples. He had freckles. The last question I asked him was one that had been scaring me, if I would find someone again here to love, to manifest what we were incubating. He said, Abby, this was small peanuts. He said, and when you find that love, I'm part of it.
Oh, God. Yum, 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 yum.
I love Ram Dass. And what a powerful message to come from a dream. This is small peanuts. And we are all part of that love. That is the most amazing thing in the world. And with that, I will close. God bless you. And once again. Happy Mother's Day. Let's do a meditation. Oh, let me just share this. Love is misinterpreted as an emotion. In reality, it is a state of consciousness, a way of being in the world, a way of seeing oneself and others, and that's Dr. David Hawkins. All right, I invite you to prepare for a period of meditation, as we just allow that instrumental music to bring us around to a centering place within. So often we think of ourselves as what we think. But when someone asks you to point to yourself, you point to your heart. And so that is our lifelong practice, that journey from the head into the heart. To know that while the heart can be sloppy sometimes, there's also wisdom there. That's the power of our divine wisdom. And so whatever the experience of your biological mother, know that you can mother yourself. You can heal the wounds. You can rise above the past. And maybe you had a wonderful mother who has transitioned. And it is also in that heart space where we can open up, continue to open up to the experience of our loved ones beyond the body. We can know that they are there, that they are present, always present. Supporting us and guiding us and loving us. We can even send them blessings. We can even pray for them and for us and for a greater connection, for a deeper understanding. And so let's take a moment to imagine someone, if it's your biological mother, fine. If not, who is it who has mothered you? And imagine them present. Imagine taking their hand. This person may be a man, maybe a dog, and those qualities of love that we jotted down earlier. What does love look like? We remember the love of the mother giraffe. And we know that we have had and or have the perfect mother. Let's breathe that in. Because whatever your experience was, you are here now. And look at the beautiful being, the amazing being that you are. And that is the truth. Take a nice deep breath and release it as we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is, so it is. And amen.